Hello, my name is Doug Picklick. I'm the editor of Heating, Plumbing, and Air Conditioning magazine, and it's my pleasure to be moderating the next two panel sessions we'll be having today. And while they all come online, I will introduce our first set of panelists. Joining us is Jim Barry, Vice President, Health, Safety, and Environment with PCL Construction. We also have Anna Lary, who is a master electrician and project lead of the ConnectHER Hub at the British Columbia Institute of Technology, BCIT. And we also have Lea Valcourt. She is the Senior Director of Workforce Development with Support Ontario Youth. So welcome, everyone. We know, courtesy of Bill's opening presentation, that the construction workforce is in need of employees going forward. Skilled trade workers are definitely in demand. And the challenge is really in attracting a new generation of workers interested in the construction industry. We're seeing growth in apprenticeships and women in apprenticeship programs, so that's positive. That's what I took away from Bill's presentation earlier. Now, a recent construction workforce report that I saw by the Dodge Construction Network in the US surveyed some 1,100 job seekers, and while over half indicated an openness to working in construction, only about 7% were actively considering a construction career. So it seems construction still has a bit of a perception problem, perhaps. So as we get going, Lea, I'd like to start with you and Support Ontario Youth's recent Trades and Talent Summit successfully brought some job seekers face to face with employers. What did you learn from that experience and how construction careers are or aren't being marketed effectively today?
Yeah, good question. So I'll just give a really brief overview of the Trades and Talent Summit that we ran this year. Was our first job fair for Support Ontario Youth. And we saw, 18 plus year olds up to, people in their 50s coming out, whether it's a second career, whether they were just researching and wanting to get more exposure into the skilled trades. We had about 217 come out. We had more that were supposed to come, but TTC was down that day, so I think we lost a lot of participants. But we really showcased a multitude of different sectors at this event. And I would say in terms of marketing to those individuals that you want to get into construction, a lot of it is going to have to be marketing to those greener pre-apprentices that maybe aren't coming in here with a lot of experience. Those are the ones that tend to, we see a lot of recruiting efforts coming in from those wanting to get their foot into the door and really wanting to showcase to those really greener apprentices that there are opportunities for them, having more employers that are willing to market to that age group and to those people that maybe don't have a lot of experience, whether it's just starting in general labor, but also really showcasing that you have growth opportunities. So maybe I don't have one for you now, but stick around. We're going to train you. We're going to give you all the exposure you need. And eventually we're going to move you into apprenticeship opportunities. A lot of things that we heard. So we had a mentor corner at this event where we had licensed journey people that came out and had that one-on-one exposure to a lot of those, participants that came through. And a lot of them didn't know about other opportunities in other trades. We always see the shiny one, electrical is always the one on the flyer that everyone's interested in, but there's so many other opportunities and trades that they can explore. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways for us was we had an employer there that was looking for elevating device mechanics. So working on those lifts and escalators and elevators. They had one of the busiest booths because no one really knew what that was. And they were able to bring exposure to new trades that people don't necessarily think about. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, well, getting in front of people, it's clearly
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but once you do, it seems to open some eyes, and that's
Yeah.
very positive. I mean, definitely part of the outreach is to attract the next generation and expand our pool of workers, which includes reaching out to non-traditional construction audience, and Bill mentioned women, but there's other audiences as well. Anna, I was hoping you could please explain a little about what the ConnectHER Hub project is kind of all about, and then also what you've learned about how trades careers could be presented to feel maybe a little more welcoming and inclusive to a broader group of people.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy to share about the ConnectHER Hub. So I have been an electrician, which, as Lea said, is the best trade. Well, maybe she didn't quite say that, but
That
for
trade.
20 for 27 years. And construction is hard. It's also incredibly rewarding, and I've had a great career, but I've had to face a lot of obstacles that had nothing to do with my competence as an electrician and a lot to do with my gender. So being informed by my own experiences as an electrician and an educator, I have founded the ConnectHER Hub, where I support women and gender diverse trade students, alumni, and the surrounding trades community. And I have this real thing where I do think about recruitment. I think about it a lot, but I think more about retention. So we invite people in the door and we have these big shiny careers that we present them, and then they face obstacles and challenges. And sometimes those obstacles and challenges are because we are the only woman or gender diverse individual in a job site, and you feel a sense of isolation. So I host a lot of networking events so that employment opportunities, advancement opportunities, and shared experience kind of come to the forefront and really grow community. Networking is something that is underemphasized and underutilized in the trades, and it is actually so important to building a robust career that can withstand dips in employment opportunities, challenges at work. So in terms of making the trades attractive to young people, I have a lot of thoughts about this, and just to any possible entrance. And one is that our young people think differently, access media and access information in a very different way that those of us of a slightly older generation do, and we have to adjust. So when I launched the ConnectHER Hub, I had a panel of tradeswomen influencers. I had an electrician, two electricians, a machinist, and an HVAC tech. And they showcase the work that they do in a very authentic way. They show their daily lives. And the young people really connect with that. Another thing is that we need to get tools in the hands of young people. I just recently participated in camps in the Kootenays, where we just went into elementary schools and we made copper bracelets. So they had tools in their hands, they did a little bit of brazing, and these were apparently classes that were hard to manage. The students were very focused, very engaged. So actually being able to do things, make things, is such a deeply satisfying thing. And when people get to do that, it for some people it's transformational, and other people realize the trades is not for them, and that's just fine.
Yep. So it kind of like Lea was saying, I mean, getting in front of people face to face, right, is really maybe the best way, and even hands-on, obviously, as you're suggesting, is really fundamental to getting people attracted or knowing whether this is for them or not. Jim, that Dodge report that I referred to, one of the things it found was it indicated that safety concerns ranked among the factors that discouraged people the most from considering a career in construction. And I know safety is a priority for you, and PCL is among the founding members of the Canadian Construction Safety Council. So I'm just hoping you could maybe tell us how you see safety leadership perhaps as contributing to overall better industry reputation and then ultimately some workforce attraction.
Well, thanks, Doug. I think the biggest thing to take into consideration is that there is a number of things happening. The Canadian Construction Safety Council was put together because we wanted to work with the industry to help mitigate serious injuries and fatalities. And some of the things we got into was being consistent ourselves, and with that, helping the industry. And some of the things we wanted to be consistent about was like fall protection, helmet use, glove use. There's so many different things that even for trades coming from one job to a big GC was different. And there was some issues, and we wanted to be consistent, and we wanted to make sure we were putting forward the best personal protective equipment, the best procedures possible for our folks to make sure they're well protected. Yes, there's fears with regards to safety in construction, and we like to look at it is that there's hazards, but every hazard we have, we look for controls. For instance, when you talk about fall protection, like the policies or the regulations from province to province can be different with regards to heights. At 6 feet, we know 6 foot fall protection is very important because above 6 feet, you start to increase your odds of a serious injury or fatality. Below 6 feet, it reduces. So getting the industry to get to 6 feet has been very important for us. One of the things we like to work with is a shadow program, bringing people in and come walk with a journeyman, see how they control the things, how they use the tools, how they mitigate those hazards, and how they control them. And it's very important. I like to look at it like sometimes hockey games where you wear your helmet, you wear your gloves, you wear all this stuff, you wear your knee pads because, you know, if you get a puck in the knee, it hurts. So if you try to use some of that analogy and tie things together with regards to safety, there's a reason why you wear PPE and there's a reason why you have certain procedures. It's to help you do what needs to be done. And one of the things I spent some time this week with a 40-year pipe fitter, and he said to me, one time they used to do at the beginning of a job, they talk about they're going to have so many million people hours. And for every million people hours, they're going to have a fatality. And they said, you don't have that anymore. Now it's about first aids. It used to be medical aids and lost time incidents and all this stuff. Now they're down to first aids. And I said to him, you know, he said, it's all about change and we should never be afraid of change. And he said, I said, what was one thing we should keep doing? He said, keep changing, because look from where we were to where we are now. And he said, I spent 40 years in this trade and I love where it is. And he's a teacher of ours right now as a journey person with some apprentices, and to be able to communicate that with those folks and how the hazards are there. Yes, but this is how we control them. And this is what we do.
Okay. I think that idea of working with the apprentices is very important, and as a pathway to the skilled trades, obviously. Lea, I know you've worked closely with apprentices and employers. Um, so where do you see maybe some of the largest communication gaps when it comes to both promoting apprenticeship opportunities out in the market and bringing those relationships together?
Yes.
Where's
Yeah, this is it's such a loaded question, because I think anyone who works in the apprenticeship space, we can all agree there's so much information. And there's also a lot of misinformation that comes out of conversations that we've had, whether it's teachers and students and their parents coming out of high school, wanting more exposure into the trades and having no idea what questions to ask and where to start with, and then especially, so we're a group sponsor. So we're actually able to register and sponsor apprentices in 13 different skilled trades, including the construction trades. And so we find that when we are getting ready to register apprentices, they have no idea about the apprenticeship pathway, the differences between hours, between competencies. And so especially when we're looking at, I'm sure you all know, the transition from the Ministry of Labor into Skilled Trades Ontario as of April 2nd is going to be overseeing and managing that process. We've had a lot of our employer base reach out kind of going, I don't know what this means and I don't know what to do. And it helps us. This is what keeps us going. But it gives us the ability to provide a lot of very clear and concise, consistent messaging. We're always communicating with our employer groups, with our apprentices, especially through the transition to Skilled Trades Ontario, letting them know that we're still here to guide you and support you and provide you all the information that you need so you feel comfortable and confident with the apprenticeship process. And we also provide a lot of wraparound support systems, not just to our employer base, but also to the apprentices that we sponsor. And so we're making sure that from the day they get registered, so hopefully they're still with us by the time they're writing their CFQ, that they feel supported and they understand the process the whole way through right to the end, and we're making sure that we're filling in those gaps. Yeah, it's a lot of information. So we
It
do our
is, and
best to educate on the information and the pathway as best as we can to so many different groups of people to make it easier to navigate.
yeah, and it just getting the message, those messages out is the challenge, is it?
It
Yeah.
can be, yeah. A lot. I mean, apprentices don't like to check their emails, so a lot of
Mhm.
times it falls a bit on deaf ears at times for us. But I think if we're looking at this in a marketing perspective, I think any employer, as long as you're staying current, Skilled Trades Ontario has an abundance of information that they've provided, especially through this transition, and just making sure that that's getting communicated. We still had a lot of employers reaching out to us saying, "Do I contact you, or do I call?" Or do I call Skilled Trades Ontario? And so a lot of this really comes down to having a lot of very transparent and open communication between all stakeholders, so everyone is updated with the process and what's going on. And I think that's the best way to fill a lot of those gaps.
Yeah.
Research, understand it. If you don't know, call us. We'll help you. We'll help you figure it out. So
Perfect. A great resource. Um, Anna, you've described electrical work as an embodied practice, layered with skill, knowledge, and experience. So, how can we better capture that richness when promoting careers to those outside the industry? How can they really get an appreciation for what goes into some of these skill trades that you've experienced?
Well, it takes a certain personality to succeed in the trades, and we want to attract those people into the trades so that when they come in there and we make that investment in training them, they stay. So, really activating the satisfaction of building something, making something, um, trying to turn it on for the first time, and you have that excitement where is it going to work? Or are you going to have a short circuit and blow up? Because that does happen sometimes. And you leave your work at work. When you go home, you're not thinking about some complex HR problem that never ends. So there's this when I, there's this thing when I drive around Vancouver, I look at the things I've built. I think about, say, the restaurant or the refrigeration facility that I've done work on, and I have all this like connection to the kind of fabric of the city, and I love it. And to share that with other people, I actually think that there's an authentic storytelling thing that we can do with social media now. And we can really activate that in a kind of unique way to pique young people's interest, to show them that people like them are doing that. Women and gender diverse individuals are out there making things, building things, using amazing power tools that are super fun to use. So all of that is really exciting to me. And then the thing of, letting people ride along for the day and seeing what the life of an electrician is or an elevator mechanic, trades exploration camps, all of those things are super important to inviting people in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jim, you mentioned kind of the shadowing or, having people um, on site to actually see and experience what the job is, what it entails. With more than a couple decades of construction experience behind you, just what shifts have you noticed in how younger workers today, this next generation, kind of maybe evaluate employers or um, I don't know how you can be marketing careers to this next generation that you think is appealing to them.
Oh, that's another good question, Doug. You look at the younger folks, the benefit that we have today care very much more about their health. They'll wear respirators. They understand the significance associated with that. They're more keen with regards to their physical fitness. So they want to look after their bodies. Most of them are, physical ed junkies kind of thing. And, the last thing you want to do is get hurt. And, you're using your body. Your body is part of your tool system when you're working. it's imperative that, you know, you have ergonomics, you have the right hygiene controls in place when you're lifting or moving stuff. It makes them feel good. And if they have the devices to help them do that, they're looking after themselves. The biggest thing I always say about apprentices, take your time, learn your first year, learn your second year, learn everything you can, because don't try and rush too quick to become that journey person. Every step along the way, it's imperative because there's things to learn, and enjoy it, and really work with your journey person to make sure you understand things, ask questions, develop a good relationship. With us, it's a little different because it's all about people caring for life. That's the term I use, PCL stands for. And making sure they have fulfilled lives with being able to work hard and go home and do what they need to do. I never want to hear of someone not being able to do something with their wives or their husbands or their families, or being able to coach hockey or stuff because they got hurt at work. It's a horrible thing. And they have a very good, they want to be able to do those things away from work, because that's what makes their lives whole. With hiking, or whether it's playing hockey or doing all those other things, it's imperative to them. They want a full life balance, and we want to be able to make sure we're doing that, and providing them the means to be able to do that is important, for sure.
You know, Jim, we did have a question in the Q&A about the differences of PPE constructed for women and men. I was just wondering if you've touched
Yeah.
on that at PCL.
Yeah, we have. With regards to harnesses and stuff, it is definitely important. Helmets too. Helmets, we moved to a Type 2 helmet, which provides more protection. And we're trying to make sure that we work with the manufacturers to include women in construction and make sure that it's fitting and it works well with them. It's comfortable. If personal protective equipment isn't comfortable, it is hard to wear that all day if it's not comfortable. So we have been working with a number of manufacturers to make sure that we're looking at women in construction for sure, to make sure they have the proper PPE that fits first and foremost. Then it can be adjusted to a woman, what a woman would want. So
Very good. Thank you. You know, I wanted to ask this to all of you, but Anna, you actually touched on this already about the role that social media or just digital outreach should play in attracting today's and again the next generation workforce. I mean, everyone's on their phone or on their computer, and that seems to be where most interaction happens. So I don't know, Anna, do you want to just address that and what you've experienced, even just in terms of how that's been effective at attracting folks?
Well, as a tradeswoman, social media has made me feel less alone, because I've been able to connect with a tremendous network of women and gender diverse tradespeople from across the country. And through that, we're able to organize meetups, discuss challenging employment situations. So that would maybe be more like in a private Facebook group or something like that. But social media is the great connector for us, both on the recruitment side and the retention side. So I'd put that in two kind of distinct areas. For recruitment, we get to see people who look like us doing things and making things. And that is very powerful. And for a while, I was watching HVAC service calls because I wanted to expand my knowledge of HVAC. So for me, I totally get to geek out on like tools, things that are up and coming. So maybe that's a failure on my part. I don't know, but I'm a bit of a nerd. But for young people, you have to actually, I think, activate young people and have champions in industry. I think as soon as we kind of are trying to manipulate it, people are very conscious that it is manipulated. So I'm all for supporting people who are out there in industry promoting their trades, as opposed to kind of like some bigger kind of campaign. Does that make sense?
I think is it about being authentic in their
Yes.
social media presentation, if you will?
Super authentic, yeah.
Yeah.
And young people are better at reaching other young people than we are.
Yeah.
Like Jim said, the things they want are different. They want safer work environments. They want to be treated better. Like maybe like less bullying and harassment and harsh words. They just want different things.
Lea, is social media, is that a part of the outreach? Are you seeing that, or just digital communications? Is that?
I would say my biggest takeaway is know your audience. I mean, we are in an area, in the industry where we have multi generations that are out on a job site. We do educate younger generations coming in about, watching your tone and your language and your slang, and don't call your employer bruh, things like that they may not, fully understand coming into the industry. But when I say know your audience, like this, if we're trying to recruit this younger generation to get interested in the construction trades and any of the skilled trades, you have to meet them on their level. And these are kids that are coming out of elementary school. My daughter's 7, and she knows more about using an iPad in class than I do. You have kids that are coming out of high school that went through their entire high school career using technology. This is where their media platforms lie. They're going to be on Instagram. They're going to be on TikTok. They're going to be probably not so much on Facebook anymore. What I would say to any organization that is trying to reach them on their level, create an Instagram account. It's free. You can have it under your business. You can showcase things that you're doing, take job site pictures. It's a way to generate some business around your organization. This is a great place where you could be marketing. Hey, we're looking for apprentices, and we're open to taking green apprentices that don't have experience. Like, this is where you're going to start pulling in especially the younger generation, if you want to recruit to them. And just kind of just to roll off a bit what Anna said, especially if we're trying to recruit a female workforce. One of our Journey Person mentors, Brandy Ference, if anyone has heard of her, she's a huge redhead, huge advocate. She's an HVAC technician at Gas Fitter One, and she has an organization called Fair Trades Toolbox. And this is a social media platform that she has created to provide mentorship, coaching, just awareness to women getting into the trades. One of the biggest things that she has said is that women need mentors. This is what gets them through. When she was one of her first days on the job site, she said there was 300 men. I was the only female, and she was really scared to get out of the truck. And she had called a friend of hers that she had taken her program with, and she was like, we can do this. You can do this. Get out of that truck. And she said without having that mentorship pulling her through, she's not sure that she would have made it. And women still face a lot of challenges and barriers on the job site. So I think if employers invested and marketed, like, we have a female mentor that is here to support you. Soy does that. All of the female apprentices that we register and sponsor on behalf of our employers have a group of female licensed journey people that they can reach out to have that extra added mentoring support to help them get through to the end and become licensed journey people. So I would say for all employers, invest. There are companies out there like Brandy who would provide mentoring services to help your female workers get through.
Okay. Jim, it looks like, being helpful, being authentic, reaching out to the new generation. Someone has actually asked about filling the needs of the fulfilling needs of the current new immigrant population. I don't know if that's something you find on the workforce. If you've, just there's different, women, youth, of course, immigrants coming on board, um, just interacting with all these different newcomers to the construction industry. Is that
Yeah.
how's that at PCL?
Well, technology can be your best friend or can be your worst enemy, especially social media. I don't mind saying it. It's like, you want people to be in the moment when they're working and don't want to be distracted. That's very important for us. The other aspect is we want it to be a welcoming environment for everyone. And what I mean by that is that sometimes people hide behind social media and they're not authentic and they're not saying exactly what they should be saying. And there can be challenges for sure. And with the immigration, we want to make sure that we're being respectful to everyone, and being respectful and using it properly will help us immensely. And that's kind of where we're at. And being ethical, being responsible, using it the right way, reaching out to make sure that we're acknowledging certain holidays, stuff of that nature, and being respectful.
Yeah, that's part of the generational approach as well. You know, we're coming close to the end, but I wanted to ask all of you what advice you would give to an employer who says, you know, we've tried everything and we still can't find good people. You know, we're reaching out. Just some advice on how to be attractive, I guess, to people out there in the market, job seekers. Lea, do you want to kick it off?
Um, so earlier I had spoke that we did a Trades and Talent Summit, which we had 400 participants register for. I can say that almost probably all of them were coming out because of the construction industry and wanting those job opportunities. Unfortunately, we were not able to fill those booths with construction companies. That was our biggest feedback after the event was where were the plumbers? Where were the electricians? Where were the HVAC employers? And so you have these organizations that are bringing so much awareness and trying to create opportunity for these candidates to come in and find these apprenticeship opportunities or these general labor opportunities, carpentry opportunities. But we're not seeing that support coming from the industry itself and those employers. And whether that's because they want someone who's a second, third, fourth year that has a lot more experience, they may not be open to, again, different generations, you know, equity, diversity, I think all of these things come into play. And you know, we're all here to play in the same sandbox. We're all here to support everybody. And so support those communities, support those associations, support companies like ourselves who are across Ontario trying to bring awareness to the industry and create opportunities for participants. Get out there, get involved, be a part of the community. That's the best way that you're going to be able to network and bring exposure to your organization and find those candidates that really want to work and want to get in and have those growth opportunities. I would say that's the best thing I can say. Support local, support the communities that are making the efforts to bring viable candidates to those employers. Get out there. We're doing our Trades and Talent Summit again in February. I welcome all construction employers to come out. You're going to find candidates. We are there to support and help you market your organizations and find the right candidate for you. So just support it as best as you can.
Anna, from a technical institute perspective, is there
Well, I
how's
have
the
some
outreach?
institute perspectives, and then I have some advice to employers. So word of mouth is huge. If you are an employer that is invested in developing your employees, that provides like good training opportunities, good advancement opportunities, people will know, they will hear, and they will come to you. There's often a number of sort of what I would call like missing steps or broken steps in an apprentice's progression. It is so important that a young apprentice, or new apprentice, when they're interacting with their supervisor, whether it's the journey person they're working with, the site superintendent, the foreperson, they're having positive experiences so that that person is leading with kindness while having high expectations, because we are all about productivity and productivity needs to go up. So we need more kind of investment in that kind of junior leadership and in construction companies. That is my strong opinion, and that will increase recruitment because you have people hearing that this is a good place to work and there's good opportunities. Institutionally, because I'm connected in with a very large network of women and gender diverse trades workers, I host informal many different networking events of different sizes. So people who are kind of entry level get to interact with people with a vast amount of experience, and they're actually usually like there's like 65 women and gender diverse people in the room, only 5 of them are in the kind of entrance pathway. But that really activates them. I'm all about quality interactions rather than sort of firing with a buckshot everywhere. I'm like, let's get laser focused. Let's get the people who are going to succeed in the door.
Okay. Jim, do you have any advice on people? We've tried everything. We still can't find good people. What's the way to reach out and get these new workers on board?
I think the thing for me is looking at it from a company perspective is being sincere and authentic. When you bring people on is, it's not about the job, it's about their career. And you have to treat it as career development and giving them really good career feedback. This is what you're doing well. Start off with positives and then more encouragement versus being negative. They'll thrive through that. They'll feel good about themselves. They'll feel good about how they're committing to the work, the job. They'll feel good about themselves. And that's imperative. To feel like that in an organization will help you retain folks. If you're constantly being hard, demanding, pushing, you may get another response. And the thing is, if you embrace them, work with them, and help educate them so that they're working into a full-fledged career, it will help them immensely. And I've seen it. And people will embrace more positive than negative. And matching up personalities, making sure that you have the right personalities that have things in common that can work together and learn from each other. A famous saying within our world is, you don't know what you don't know. And the biggest thing is work with someone that you can actually have some knowledge transfer with. And that way you'll become much more intelligent and your career will help be more enhanced along the way. So it's imperative.
Yeah, very good. We are just about out of time. Someone has asked in the questions if they could connect with the panel on LinkedIn. Um, I'm gonna assume people have LinkedIn. You're on there. Your names are here. So I think if you're if you're looking to connect, let them know you saw them at Workforce 25. Um, and I think with that, yeah, if you want to compete for the next generation of workers, you need to take control of your company's image and be out there in the market. I think you've got to attend these events to get your company in front of people who are looking to work in the construction industry. So I'd like to thank you, Jim, Anna, and Lea, for your input today. We all have a role to play in marketing construction careers to a new generation. So thank you all for what you've shared with us today.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Thank you.